people will look at, point two and say, oh, that's so easy. Go spit or do whatever, or go go piss.
It's like, well, at that point, I can't pee anymore.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it is a lot harder. Yeah.
Yes. So then it's like, okay, take my underwear off, which is crazy. Then nothing changes on the scale.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I have 2 more hours. Run upstairs, go cut 0.2 pounds, check my weight on my scale. I'm 0.2 under. I'm like, okay, should be good to go.
Yeah.
Go downstairs. They moved the scale again.
Yes.
Now it's on a wooden platform. And I'm like, motherfucker.
Which is what it should have been in the first place.
Which it should have been in the first place. But scale's in a new spot, completely different, on wood platform. So I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So then get on the scale. 0.2 over still.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. We're live.
All right.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right. First podcast back. Second podcast back after the fight.
Yep.
Last week we just did updates of how the fight went. Obviously it was a little bit more of an emotional podcast coming off of getting a draw.
Yes.
Just some, the way the whole fight week went. Anyways, I have some more. I want to talk a little bit more about some stuff that happened fight week that we didn't touch on last week.
Yeah.
That I think is kind of funny.
Okay.
And now that I'm in a happier place, we can get into it a little bit.
Before you get into that,
yes,
we have obviously Dennis right here.
We do.
We almost had a mate right next to him today, which you literally went over and almost got another dog today.
I almost got another dog, a puppy. So Dennis is a rescue. I am a very, very strong advocate for adopt, don't shop.
Yes.
Because dogs, there's so many dogs in shelters that need homes.
Yeah.
So Dennis is hypoallergenic. I am extremely allergic to dogs that aren't. Yeah. So I get really bad hives and allergies and stuff. So it was hard for us to no, I still need to go to the shelter. Yes. So I went in, picked out this dog. I feel like it fell in love with me. It's hard for me to say no to a puppy.
Yes. Well, what happened was yesterday you and your mom was in town. So we went, you girls went, got your claws done. And then I had picked you girls up.
Oh, you went to Starbucks.
I went to Starbucks, yes. Got you girls coffees. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a little dog shop right next to there. And your mom was like, well, let's go look at them. And so
I was like, okay. And first, hold on, rewind, because I just want people to understand. They're like, oh, why are you with Austin? Let me tell you what a good man you are.
Okay.
We'll brag for a second.
Yeah, brag. Pump me up.
We woke up. This is how the day laid out.
Yeah.
Wake up. You took me and my mom to brunch.
Yep.
On the beach. We went and got brunch.
Yep.
Dropped us off at the nail salon.
Yes.
Went and got us Starbucks.
Yes.
Came back and picked us up.
Yep.
Then you took us to the puppy store.
Yeah, then I took you to the puppy store.
That's a good man.
Yes, and we went in, and of course, these puppies are the cutest little things ever. And so the guy working there was like, well, is there any you want to see? And we saw there was a pen with 3 of them, right? And they were what? Shih Tzu? Shibu, yeah. Shibu, a Shih Tzu poodle.
Yes.
And it was a little mini thing, and he's like, I can take him out or take her out, and you guys and girls can play with it. So anyways, we get the dog out and we mess around, and she is the cutest
well
thing.
And my friend Deanna had just come over, and she had a brand new puppy golden retriever at our house. So Dennis and the golden retriever were playing, and so Dennis did really well, and I was like, gosh, I am ready for another dog.
So anyways, we messed around, played with the dog, held it, and we're like, all right, we'll go home, we'll think about it. And we had no other information about this, so we went home and we kind of thought about things. We're like, you know what, let's do it. We even have a crate in our room right now set up for this puppy. And so you went there this morning with your mom to go get it.
Well, so then I also, my way to justify getting a puppy from a puppy store was, all right, however much I pay for the dog, we're going to donate the same amount of money to a shelter.
Yes.
Because then I can get a dog I know is hypoallergenic, that I'm not going to have a bad allergic reaction to. And then we'll just donate.
We'll make a donation to the
shelter. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that'll make me feel better and balanced about shopping and not adopting. I couldn't do it though.
Yeah. So you went back and the dog was a little more expensive than we thought.
Well, at that point I was like, geez, I know these puppies are going to get adopted. And
yes, I just, exactly.
In my mind thinking Dennis was $50 from the shelter. He was $50 and he was like, obviously the best $50 I ever spent. He's an angel. And I just could not, as much as I loved the dog, I could not get it in my heart to spend that much money
money on a dog. Yeah.
When I can go to the shelter and pick one out. So I will be going to the shelter tomorrow.
Yes. And this is all really funny. Well, kind of funny, kind of sad, kind of dad, you fucking idiot.
Oh my gosh. Please.
This is on the heels of.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
You got to tell the full story.
I'm telling the full story.
So this is, hold on, I'm just prepping it.
Yes.
One, I'm sorry to your dad. The way I'm phrasing this is going to sound negative, but it is elderly abuse.
Yes.
Not that your dad is like, he doesn't come off as an elderly man.
No.
But not savvy on scams.
Yes.
Continue.
So.
Okay.
So the sad part is a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, my dad and his wife, they have a cat they've had for a long time, and she passed away and of old age. She was old, like, as far as
came to the end of her life.
Yes. And they were obviously devastated, and so they had wanted to get a cat. What kind of cat what kind of cat was it?
You keep telling this story, I'll find it.
It's one of those big cats with like the big ears, and they're furry and they get big. They get like 22 pounds or something. Anyway, so they're hell-bent on getting the same cat that they had before. Paige will tell you guys.
It was called a Maine Coon.
A Maine Coon, yes. So they wanted this Maine Coon. Well, so they search and they find a website, and it was in Texas or something, and Maine Coons for sale.
And this is a website you can still go online and access. Like, this is an active website still on the internet.
Yes.
Currently.
Yeah, you can go and see this right now. Yes. Well, anyway, so they, find this cat, and these Maine Coons are purebred cats too, and so they're expensive. And they had found it before they talked to Paige and I or anything. Not that they needed our permission, but before they had wired the money to this guy for this cat, and they had got pictures sent and blah, 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 all this. Well, it was a scam. And the day came that the cat was going to be shipped. It was going to fly on a plane or whatever, and all this.
So they paid for the cat.
Yes.
They paid for it by Zelle. Yes. Which is basically paying with cash. Yeah. Because if you don't put it on a credit card, if you put it on Zelle or like a debit card, banks can't get that money back. That's like paying with cash. So continue.
So the day and the time that the cat was supposed to arrive at the airport showed up. The time showed up, and there was no cat on the plane. And so they call the guy, and the guy is like, something went on. I need another deposit to send the cat like via blah, blah, blah. And
so I guess this con artist was so good, sent 2 different like travel carriers. Was like, okay, if you pay for this carrier, they get air conditioning, but you have to pay. It's refundable. The shipping's refundable, but it's you have to pay, and then you get to pick which kind of carrier it travels in. They picked the carrier they were traveling, paid for that. Guy calls back. Then they need insurance.
Yes.
You have to pay for insurance for shipping, but their insurance is 100% refundable. And at this point, they're like, okay, we already paid all this money.
Yes.
For this cat. Let's just pay for the insurance too. So at that point, they had paid for the cash, the cat, the carrier, and insurance.
Yes.
Comes to the day that they're supposed to get the cat, and the guy goes MIA.
Yeah. So they were scammed, and
yes.
And of course, not more so heartbroken about the money. They were more heartbroken about not getting the cat because they really wanted this cat, and and so it's a sad story. But the lesson is, don't buy, especially online. Like, there's these scammers.
No. So then the point you're making, which was kind of humorous, because the amount they paid and were out for that cat is how much the dog cost. And so now you're going to call your dad and be like, yeah, we just couldn't pay that much for an animal.
Couldn't do it. Yeah, I couldn't do it, So anyways, Dad, sorry. And check in with us before, because once he sent me the pictures of the cat and all that, I looked at the pictures like, Dad, these are all photoshopped cats. Like, there's the pictures are so weird.
He's like, yeah, but they had customer testimonials. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're all fake. Yes. So all of the cats that are in the testimonials, like, oh, this guy, here's my cat.
Yeah, it's like this guy's literally just holding his arms like, here's my cat, and the cat is photoshopped. And, so again, elderly abuse bullshit.
Yes.
And it ended up being some guy in like Africa or something that was doing these. Yeah.
So they are working to try to get reimbursement or try to do something, but unfortunately they all paid with Zelle. So, so we're going to go to the shelter.
Yes.
And we're not going to pay anybody online for an animal. Yeah. Okay. What were we talking about before that?
Funny fight.
Fight stuff?
Yes. Some fight stuff.
So we're going to go back and talk a little bit about some of the chaos that happened fight week.
Before though.
Yeah.
Just because we are coming off of the last UFC card, 302, right? Yep. And some good fights, obviously. Yes. Dustin and Islam. The card in a whole wasn't the best. I would say, say what you want about Sean Strickland's fighting style. He is a smart fighter, and he's an intelligent, and he knows what he's doing. He's a little more defensive, but at the same token too, you're talking about, he's fighting Paulo Costa, who's
dangerous,
probably weighed 225 going into the fight, big guy, and and he fought a smart fight. But the what I'm getting at about the fight is, if you watch that fight, it was extremely clear who won the fight. Sean Strickland won every single round of that fight, in my opinion. I mean, maybe one round you could have given to Paulo Costa, but when it came to reading the scorecard, it ended up being a split decision. And I believe the one judge who gave it to Paulo Costa, I believe it was Dave Torelli. But this just comes back again to how insane judging of combat sports are. And again, I'm biased with your fight, but when you see a scorecard like your fight, for example, you had one judge score 4 of the 5 rounds for you, another judge score 3 of the 5 rounds for you, but then this other judge giving her 3 of the. It's like, what fights are these guys watching? Yeah. What do we have to do
to fix combat sports?
Yes.
Boxing, MMA. It is really frustrating, because one of the things that your coaches say, it's a world known thing that you say in boxing and MMA, do not leave it to the hands of the judges.
Yes, but
why? Why is that such an issue still to this day, as far as combat sports has come over the years, how long it's been around?
Yeah.
Why is the judging so obscure?
Well, and the funny thing about that saying too, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. We're trying not to.
Yes.
If any of us had our way, we would go and the fight would be over in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
And we would finish the person, and we would walk away with our win, our bonus, and all this. But again, this point has been hammered over and over again. As fighters, for a lot of fighters, half of our pay is based on win or loss for the fight. So we're leaving it up to these, and I don't want to knock on a older or whatever, but we're leaving it up to an older guy who And I don't even know, most of these guys don't have MMA experience.
No. So I'll tell you this. So I went to my first ever UFC fight.
Yeah.
First, because I'm about to have my UFC debut. And I'm sitting around and I was sitting with one of my coaches. No, I was sitting with my manager. And I was like, checking everything out. He had this really good seat so I could be close to the action. And he's like, dude, guess who like that lady is? And it was like this older, really, really old lady. This was years ago. So you'd think she would retire now. But I was like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, that's a judge.
Yeah.
And then the way he phrased it, and I'm not going to say who my manager was at the time or whatever, but they were like, yeah, just a lot of times, one, they're grandfathered in through the boxing commission.
Yep. Even
to come ref MMA.
Yeah.
And then two, he's like, yeah, you sleep with the right person in the boxing commission. Next thing you know, you're a judge.
It's crazy. And I don't even believe I can't remember some of the fights over the weekend. I don't even believe it was only that fight. I believe there was 2 fights where, everyone's like, what in the fuck are we doing?
Well, even Dana, after the fight, he went on to say like he demolishes a lunatic judge who scored it a split decision, said it was fucking nuts.
Yeah, like, it really was. I mean, like I said, whatever your opinion on the fight, whether it was exciting or not, Sean Strickland fought a good, smart, technical fight. He won every single round, and for it to be a split decision was just fucking crazy.
Even to go back to my fight, regardless if you think that I won or not, right?
Yeah.
Regardless if I think that I did enough to win the fight, it was a draw. But you look at the scoring, and if you just without watching the fight, looking at the scorecard, you would think the judges watched 3 different fights.
Exactly. And the thing is like, there's these parameters in the fight, or what you're supposed to judge your, what you're supposed to base your judging off of. There's ring control. There's obviously significant strikes. There's all these, but it seems like each judge has a different idea of what they think is the most important part of the fight, right? So, one judge thinks that significant strikes or like more punches landed is the most important thing. Another judge
would see like, oh, you landed 10 significant strikes. They could see that as being more important than landing 100 just like peppering shots. Like,
yeah. Or another judge will say, ring control, and that's the most important thing. And we're not getting consistent, like, even if it's happening like once or twice a fight card, that's too many times. Like, and then with MMA, some judges score grappling.
Well, that's the thing is judges like too, when it comes to MMA, all these judges are coming from the boxing commission.
Yeah.
So when they go and watch like jiu-jitsu, or like when an MMA fight gets taken to the ground, there'll be wrestling exchanges, and it's like, okay, one guy was on top the whole time. What they don't understand is like, well, yeah, but he was being like threatening submissions the whole time.
Yeah.
Like they don't know how to base like submission threats versus ground control. Like I do think it's frustrating because there's just no like standard for judging on how you can be a judge.
It's tough. I mean, it legitimately is 2 weekends in a row where I'm pissed about the judging. Obviously the one with yours, and the thing is I could live with more the fact if, even if you lost the fight and the judging was consistent, but the judging just wasn't consistent. That's what pisses me off the most about your fight in that situation. And and then obviously this, but good fight card. Dustin fought a really tough fight. And
I will say the silver lining, though, to go back on all that, is like there is people like Chris Lieben who are coming forward and starting to become judges.
Yeah, and that you're so right. That's the most important thing. I think it's us as like ex-athletes, or when we're done competing, like taking a stand and taking the necessary steps to becoming a judge, and then hopefully instead of being grandfathered in, we'll take into consideration that if you've experienced it, more.
You do. And what's like crazy to me, like when you watch judging, this is the last thing I'm going to vent on about it all, is like when you're watching the fight, you can't tell really who's a judge, who's not. Like when you watch Chris Lieben, judging.
Yeah.
You can tell he's judging. He is standing up almost the whole time.
Yeah.
He is locked in. He is focused. I feel like even the way that he judges is so much better because he's 100% focused.
Yeah.
The entire time. So it's cool to see people like him making the transition to better the sport.
Yeah, it's crazy. They got to figure something out. But I mean, we've been saying this for years. They got to figure something out, and nothing's really been done.
And I don't know what it'll take.
Yeah. But
okay.
Now we'll move on. Now it's your turn, babe. I'm so sorry.
I'm happy you got that frustration.
I had to get it out. Yeah.
Okay, so I had some chaos fight week.
Yes.
Specifically on weigh-in day.
Yes. Oh god.
Let me tell you the bullshit that I went through on weigh-in day.
Yes.
So brought a nutritionist, incredible nutritionist. Did the weight cut. Everything went perfectly. We timed it exactly right. I made weight at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Then went and hung out in the hotel room and just chilled because we calibrated our scale to the official scale.
Yep.
What we were told was the official scale where it would be everything.
Yeah, all week because I had been checking all week.
Yes.
And
So our scale is calibrated to the official. Make weight at like 8 a.m. I'm, relaxing in my hotel room. I go downstairs. They opened up weigh-ins at 9:30.
Yeah.
Go downstairs, get on the scale, 0.2 over.
Yes.
I was like, what the hell? Well, and why? Because they moved the scale to a completely different spot. It's on carpet, which the scale's never supposed to be on carpet. But for me, 0.2, no big deal. I still had my underwear on. So then I stripped down.
Well, and 0.2, when you get to that certain point, 0.2 is a big deal.
It is.
When we're talking about you're weighing in, you're already depleted. Yes. And
I've been on weight for like an hour and a half. I cooled off.
Your body's cooled down. Like, people will look at 0.2 and say, oh, that's so easy, go spit or do whatever, or go go piss.
It's like, well, at that point I can't pee anymore.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it is a lot harder. Yeah.
Yes. So then it's like, okay, take my underwear off, which is crazy. Then nothing changes on the scale.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, whatever, I have 2 more hours. Run upstairs, go cut 0.2 pounds, check my weight on my scale. I'm 0.2 under. I'm like, okay, should be good to go.
Yeah.
Go downstairs. They moved the scale again.
Yes.
Now it's on a wooden platform. And I'm like, motherfucker.
Which is what it should have been in the first place.
Which it should have been in the first place. But scale's in a new spot, completely different, on wood platform. So I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So then get on the scale. 0.2 over still.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. Go back upstairs, start sweating again, cut 0.2, get on my scale. I'm 0.4 under. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I have cut 0.4, basically a half a pound.
Yeah.
And I'm like, awesome. Now I'm going to go down and be exactly on weight.
Yeah.
Wiggle my way downstairs, get on the scale. They moved the scale again.
Yes.
And surprise, 0.4 under.
Yes. Yeah.
I cut 0.4 for no fucking reason. Had to go up and down and up and down.
Yes.
I was so mad.
Again, at this point in the weight cut, it's like,
you've got to be fucking shitting
it's
me.
crazy. Because in our head, we're thinking, in all of our fights, we always go down and, we always make weight.
Well, and the nice thing about like professional cards like the UFC, professional organizations, they have it down to a T. And I'm not blaming any organization, but...
Yeah, because it isn't on the organization. It's on the commission. Yeah.
So I go downstairs normally at a UFC fight.
Yeah.
You check your weight on the pre-check scale that is the exact same calibration as the official.
Yeah.
You go in, you check it, and you know that fight week the scales are not going to move.
Yeah.
And their calibration is not going to be thrown off at all.
And they're not going to be calibrated on carpet
ever.
And regardless of whether they are calibrated, it's not going to be on carpet because everyone knows carpet moves
and fluctuates. Yes. And when you're talking about 0.2, it's a big deal.
It is a very big deal.
So, and like normally you check your weight on the pre-check scale, you'll be like, oh, I'm 0.2 off or whatever. And you'll be like, okay, cool. I'll just go run upstairs.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to ever get on the official scale until you're on weight on the pre-check scale.
Yep.
So for me to had to restart my sweat 3 fucking times and then to come in basically a half a pound under.
Yeah.
Because I was on weight the first time.
Yeah.
And then up 0.2 down, up and down.
It was chaos.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
It was chaos, but obviously it was fine.
Yeah. it ended up being okay. And
it was just more like a frustrating point of the weigh-in day that didn't need to, because we planned it so perfectly.
Yes.
And I planned it with my nutritionist, made weight at 8:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. I could chill. Anyways.
Yeah.
Came in underweight.
Yeah.
It's a surprise.
What you should have done is had this beautiful, I want to brag a little bit because I love your hair.
Do you like it?
Your new hair, yeah.
I just went and got my hair done.
Paige got her hair cut short, and you should have done it before the fight, and then you would have been
I should have.
But yes, I love you with short hair.
Do you really?
I think it's so cute.
Okay. Sometimes I think it makes my face look fat.
Really? Oh, come on.
So, just me
which is so funny.
Self-conscious.
She gets done with the fight, and she's like, I think I want to switch my hair up or whatever. And she goes and gets her hair done and cuts it short. She's been working for a year,
to grow it out,
spending lots of money on Amazon to get hair growth product and all this stuff.
No, it's called Nutrafol. It's a vitamin, and it's good for you.
But all along,
you like it short.
Hair, I love her.
I
love her hair short.
It's for the summer. It's like bobs are really in right now.
I think
apparently.
It's so cute. Yeah,
oh, okay.
I love it.
So that was the chaos of fight week that I wanted to talk about that we didn't mention. And of course, I have like a whole documentary. I have a bunch of stuff filmed throughout fight week, but now that we're going to be doing the rematch, I think I'm going to save all the content we had from the first week, and then we're going to do a comparison video between my first fight camp fighting my opponent and then the second.
I love that.
And mesh it together.
That's gonna be badass.
So stay tuned for that. We're gonna have a whole vlog coming. Okay, that was the fight stuff I want to talk about.
Okay,
but this is a kick-ass love story.
Yes,
and we have not gone into it.
We need to get in some love.
We need to get some love going on. Yeah. We've been loving the shit out of each other lately. Actually, no, we fought yesterday. Day before yesterday. Got in a fight.
We did. We got in a fight. Yeah. Wasn't a bad one, but
no.
I mean,
it was more me just scolding you.
Yeah, I got in trouble.
You did get in trouble.
But
would you like to tell everybody why?
Not really, but I will.
You don't have to.
I was negligent on my finances.
Yes.
Yeah. I put stuff on the personal card that should have been on the business card.
And I do all of our finances, and it was
and I just created a mess. She's worked her whole life to get her finances in order, and I come and fuck everything
mess it all up. Yeah. Anyways, okay.
But we're over it. The extent to the fight, I would say the worst part of the fight, and I'm wondering if you know what I'm gonna say.
No.
What was the saddest part of the fight?
Me telling you I was gonna take your credit card away?
No, I don't care about that.
Okay.
No, what was the saddest part?
I don't know.
It was, we didn't say we loved each other before we fell asleep. And this was on Saturday. UFC night too.
Yeah, but I was tired.
She was tired. She passed out, and I was literally on my phone because motherfucking ESPN can't figure their stuff. I sat on hold with ESPN for 45 minutes because at this point I just wanted a refund for the fights.
Oh, because so when you buy it through the ESPN on our TV, it makes you scan the QR code and buy it on your phone.
Yeah.
So then it's supposed to just relaunch on your TV. No.
Didn't relaunch.
Would not work.
I had to watch. I watched the fights just on my phone the whole time. But anyways, we didn't say we loved each other before we went to bed.
We did not.
But then we woke up in a good mood, and she put Dennis on my face, and
I did. I put him on your face.
He licked me awake. And
okay. Let's talk about, obviously, smooth transition. We're obviously professional athletes, just went through a fight camp together, which has its stress. Our mental performance coach even equated you going through my fight camp as basically you going through a fight.
Oh, fudge. Yeah.
Between the stress and the chaos, and
it felt like it. Yep.
Yeah, it does feel like it.
Oh, yeah.
So I looked up the impact of marriages on athletic performance.
Okay.
Now, this is going to be interesting.
Yes.
Because these are going to be athletes you know.
Yes.
I don't know these people as well.
Okay. Yeah, I guarantee I know every one of them.
I'm sure you do. So, athletes who have performed better the year following their marriage.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, these are athletes who have had a better athletic performance after they've been married.
Okay.
Because there isn't a specific,
yeah, it's got to be hard to
gauge because I'm sure, if you're in a healthy relationship, obviously you perform better. If you're in a stressful relationship, you perform you would think it would impact your career negatively.
Yeah. And then I can see, not being in a relationship, and we've all been younger and wanting to find a significant other, and a lot of times, I mean, for guys and stuff, it's going out and trying to find someone at the bar or stuff like that.
So this says supportive relationships. Athletes who have strong, stable, supportive systems in their lives feel like they perform better in their endeavors. This was particularly true for athletes who participate in individual sports, like snowboarding or fighting.
Okay, yeah.
Like individual sports. The more intimate parts of relationships, such as encouragement from family, friends, have had a strong influence on performance as well. So not just marriages, but all healthy relationships impact your sport in a positive performance. Now, these are athletes who performed better the year following their marriage. Okay. So, ready?
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic. Is that
Nikola Jokic?
Jokic.
Yeah. The MVP of the league this year.
Okay. He averaged 6.5 more PPG. What's that?
Points per game.
He averaged 6.5 more points per game the year following his marriage.
Interesting. Okay.
He's
also just a little tangent. He's funny. For games and stuff, he's got two brothers, and they show up, and these motherfuckers are like fighting guys in the crowd and stuff. It's really funny. Yeah.
Okay, so these are all NBA players. Okay. The first few. So we also have Larry Nance Jr.
Oh yeah, Larry Nance Jr. Yep.
Averaged two more. What's APG?
Assists per game.
He averaged 2 more assists per game following the year of his marriage.
Okay.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Averaged 2 more what's RPG?
Rebounds per game.
He averaged 2 more rebounds per game following the year following his marriage.
Okay.
Julius Randle.
Yep.
Had a field goal percentage increase of 7%.
Dang, that's a big deal for
in the 1 year
for the NBA. Yeah.
It says the average change in statistical output for married NBA players the year following their marriage.
Yeah.
This is for just like average for all of them. They averaged 1.47 more points per game.
Okay.
0.94% field goal percentage.
Yeah.
More assists per game and more rebounds per game.
Interesting. Yes. And I would think, because you think about, in my opinion, when I'm thinking about athletes who, are probably really into the partying, going out, it's like NFL and NBA guys, because they're the most popular. They, you hear about a lot of crazy stuff with them. And so I do think that, getting married and settling down.
Maybe helps them settle down, not live that party.
Focus more, more focus.
You're not staying up as late. You're, into a routine. All right, here we go. We have NFL players.
Okay.
Excuse me. Who performed the best the year following their marriage.
Okay.
We have Kyle Rudolph.
Okay. Tight end.
Okay. Average.
Former Viking tight end.
Average hold on. This is written really little. Okay. Average 3.69 more targets per game and 2.13 more receptions per game following his marriage.
Okay. Yeah. That's a pretty big. That's a big.
Relatively big increase.
Now, it's hard.
I know.
Well, I will say this. Maybe he's getting more targets because he's running better routes. He's getting more open. So, I can see the correlation there. Although a lot of it comes down to scheming and your quarterback and stuff. But I can see, if he's performing better in his route tree and doing stuff like that, then yeah.
Possibly.
Yep.
And of course, maybe these have no correlation. Maybe they do. You never know. Okay.
Yeah.
So Zach Ertz had an increase of 0.29 touchdowns per game the year following his marriage.
Okay, and I believe Zach Ertz is married to U.S. soccer world team member. Okay. I believe, yeah.
All right. Here we go. Matthew Stafford.
Oh,
yes. 0.63 more touchdowns per game the year following his marriage.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's big. And again, Matthew Stafford is his I think his marriage and his family is known and stuff. His wife went through like a really scary, like sad health scare and stuff and but he got traded to the Rams and won a Super Bowl for them. So
okay. I'm going to go quick through these.
Okay.
Devontae Adams averaged 29.19 more yards per game the year following his marriage.
Okay.
George Kittle, his catch rate went from 64% to 79% the year following his marriage.
Damn.
Kirk Cousins had an increase of completion percentage of 9.5%, a YPG increase of 254, and a QRB increase of 15.5 points per year.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go through. Oh, there's a few more categories. Sorry, it's wanting me to subscribe and I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, these are all interesting. They all make sense though, too.
Okay. We're going to do one more male sport and then we have one female sport.
Okay.
For comparison, Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Manny Machado had 90 more hits, 23 more home runs, and 54 more RBIs the year following his marriage.
That's a really big increase.
One.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper increased his batting average by 0.076%.
Damn.
Corbin Burns threw 146 more strikeouts the year following his marriage.
That's big too.
Aaron Judge hit 23 more home runs the following year.
Damn.
Josh Harder increased his ERA by 1.39 the year following his marriage. Jacob deGrom walked 5 fewer batters the year following his marriage.
Interesting.
Yeah,
right?
That
one's, yeah.
Okay, female athletes.
Okay.
We have Skylar Diggins-Smith increased her PPG and her APG by 5.4 and 2.4.
Damn. Yeah, big increase. Okay.
Candace Parker increased her RPG and field goal percentage by 3.3 and 8.8%.
Gotcha.
Soccer, Julie Ertz scored.
Julie Ertz
scored 4 more goals and had 3 more assists the year following her marriage.
So they get married and then their performance both goes up. That's a really interesting one. That's cool.
Anyways, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Talking about athletes in the year following their marriage. Now, this is just the year following their marriage, not necessarily
career or whatever. If it continued on or
and this came because we talked about on one of our podcasts how how before you fought we had sex and like how sex impacts your like fighting, how sex impacts your athletic performance, and there isn't a ton of like very clear definitive statistics on if sex affects or not. The one saw on muscleandfitness.com, there's an article and they say that you should abstain prior, I think 24 to 48 hours prior to athletic competition because sex relaxes you.
Gotcha.
Which the correlation I make there is you're also not supposed to have a massage before you fight or immediately before the day before because it relaxes your muscles too much.
Yeah. So which we've talked about this before, but I'm kind of in the feeling.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
I kind of feel that when you're going into like an athletic competition and doing something like that, you should try to simulate your day and like everything as much to like training camp and all that is, what you would normally do from day to day. So you're not like changing things up too much or getting into it. Now, of course, it's hard because the nerves kick in and we've got all that stuff. But yeah, I've had a coach. I think I've said before, my wrestling coach in college was like,
never
don't have sex, don't jerk off before. It's like, well,
but this is my thing too. Like, I feel like all of these articles are just athletes trying to find ways to perform better and to not do something wrong to affect their performance. But at the end of the day, in a way, they're a little bit just superstitions.
Yes,
and
I agree.
It's all like these minute nuances, I don't know, are really going to affect your athletic performance to a degree that's,
It's going to make a difference.
It's truly going to make a difference.
Yeah, I agree. But the marriage, I definitely can see. Now, there's also the flip side of, you get married and it's not a good marriage and and it could negatively affect your performance and stuff like that. So.
Well, especially when you're having like, I bet if I really did research on like how athletes going through divorces, how that affects your athletic performance.
Yeah, that's what you need to check out next time.
Check out for the next one, and divorce rate. And it was interesting because we've actually talked on past podcasts, like the divorce rates on athletes in comparison to what sport they play, or
I forgot about that.
Some like different, like I think NFL or NBA had the highest divorce rate among athletic careers. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see like how divorce or like breakups affect your athletic performance.
Yeah.
I mean, not to bring up like Tom Brady, but obviously, I mean, I don't know. He was at the end of his career. It's a bad comparison. I guess he's the only like athlete that had a really, really public divorce during his final year in the NFL. Yeah,
and that was more of, it was like he had retired, he was coming back, you know, and his wife was basically like, all right, well,
there's a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, mere football and
But this also plays into why I think this is also interesting is like sex among athletes and competition, is because we've talked about this before. The Olympic Village is going to be handing out 450,000 condoms for the Olympic athletes.
Yeah.
So if we're going to see, I'm truly curious, because with the Olympics coming up, are we going to see a ton of new world records or are we going to see a bunch of athletes just coming up short?
Yeah, I don't, thinking about it now, like, but which I don't really know if they've got, I'm sure they have curfews and rules and regulations in the village, but I mean, just because they're handing out more condoms, if you wanted to have sex in the Olympic Village before, you were gonna do it.
I mean, they're all adults.
Yeah,
like,
they're gonna do it.
How much? Yeah. They're gonna do whatever they want to, anyways. Yeah. Okay, so then it brings me to us. I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Relationship ones.
Fire them away.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Well, I had a relationship quiz that I wanted us to do.
Okay.
And it was like 19, let me pull it up for you. There we go. It was signs of a healthy relationship. And then I screenshotted it and I wanted to question you. Okay. 9 lessons. I found this on Instagram. The 9 lessons that this couple has learned over 19 years of marriage.
Okay.
So 9.
We're a lot closer to that than you think.
We are. So these are 9 lessons and I want to know how you think we do on these.
Okay.
Have sex often.
Wait, how am I answering this?
Do we do well at that?
Yes.
Okay. Communicate obsessively. Do we communicate well?
I think we do. Yeah. Right.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think we communicate. I mean, I'm not one to like tiptoe around too much.
No. Yeah. And I can tell when something's wrong and I'll press you on it to the point where.
Yeah. I will say a really good advice for couples who are fighting, or like for men or women who you can tell that their partner is upset but not speaking openly about it. One of the best things we started doing is, all right, so like, I know you're upset. I'm like, okay, just tell me. And then it's like, then all of a sudden I'm annoying you.
Yeah.
So instead of repeatedly asking, like, just tell me what's wrong, the best thing you could say is, I know something's wrong and I know you'll tell me eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
So then it like brings you back down to earth as the person who's upset, and it's like, hey, I am gonna tell him eventually, so we might as well just do it now.
Get this shit over with.
I'll just say like, I know you're upset and I know that you're gonna tell me eventually.
Yep.
So try that the next time you can tell your significant other is upset. Lift each other up.
Definitely.
We definitely lift each other up. Yeah. Be honest. That's something we're really good at.
Yeah.
I think there's things from my parents that I learned. It's best to just be honest even when it's hard.
Yes.
Even if you know that like I have to say something like the banking thing with you about saying like I had to be honest, say like, hey, you did something that pissed me off.
Yeah.
We need to get it out on the open.
Yes.
Be a good leader and a good follower.
Yeah. Good, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of a tough one, but.
Well, I think we do well leading and following. I think for me, ways that I appreciate when you lead is like by choosing where we eat.
Yes, which we did. We had a little bit of a discussion about that last week. Yeah.
Okay. Forgive mistakes fast.
definitely do good at that.
Very good. And I think there is another sign, like a good sign of a healthy relationship is not how often you fight, but it's how quickly you can get over fights.
Yes.
So it's fine if you have like 20 arguments in a week, but as long as you get over them in like 10 minutes, you're good.
Yeah, because I don't want it to sound like we have everything figured out, or because we go through all this shit.
Yes.
But yes, I agree. I think that we get over things quickly and we realize, that at the end of the day and in the long run, it really isn't that big of a deal. And, and the more we put into it, the bigger of a problem we create.
And I think, a lot of relationships, like people expect their partner to meet their needs at all times.
Yeah.
And that's not what a relationship is about.
Yeah.
And I think another thing like people need to remember is when you don't find true love, you create true love.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You create it with each other. It's not something that all of a sudden I'm going to find this person who meets all of my needs and just does everything for me like a slave. It's meeting each other halfway.
Yep.
Hold each other to a high ass standard.
Good. Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah, we definitely do that.
Yeah, we do. Want the other person to win, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I arguably more we want the other person to win
more than ourselves. And then make your marriage your highest priority.
Yes.
We definitely do that.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome because we do put ourselves. It's
yeah, and also too, like, listen, or you hearing these, you reading these off to me, and like makes me think, and and there is some of those things that I want to be better at. Like, I do want to be a better leader at times, because I do know sometimes I do fall short on things that maybe don't seem like a big deal to me, but mean more to you and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's cool. It's good to read those, but I think all in all, we do a pretty good job at doing all those things.
All right. We are going to end our podcast with 2 questions from fans.
Okay, cool.
These were write-ins.
Yeah.
They're going to be sex related.
Yes.
So one is, how has our sex life changed now that we're almost 6 years into marriage?
Yeah. And
then the other one is, how has OnlyFans affected our sex life?
Okay, how our sex life has changed. I think earlier on in our marriage, like, sex was almost a validation. Not that it was necessarily a validation, but it's like, okay, we're gonna have sex. Like, are we still into each?
Well, I feel like that's more of a female thing, and maybe that was an issue with myself earlier on in our marriage. I think a lot of times women just associate like sex with a man wanting them, and like loving them, and so it was like, oh, he hasn't slept with me in a week, like he doesn't love me anymore.
Yeah, is he falling out of love with me?
Or he wants
not attracted
to me anymore. I'm doing something that's turning him off. Like, what am I doing wrong?
Yes.
To make it so it's been a week and like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Or thinking that you just have eyes for somebody else. So I think it was harder to talk about too at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because your mind just goes to these negative places and spins. Of
course. And then, on the flip side too, like for me, it's it's like then I become defensive. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
All this stuff, and but I think that is a big change, right?
Yes. And that's a big change, because now we're so, obviously when we got married, we loved each other, but you're still like tiptoeing a little bit, because you don't want to cause fights. You don't want to just accuse the other person of anything, but still in your mind, you're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? And you're constantly trying to figure out what's wrong with you.
Yes.
And in the same sense, it's not like I was like trying to initiate. I was like still like waiting for you to initiate.
Yeah.
So now in our sex life, which I think it's incredible, if I want to have sex with you, just like, hey, do you want to go have sex?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's fun and casual, but great. And
I would say it's turned like more fun and more where, it not that there's like pressure or anything like that, but it's a different thing now. Now it's like, It's a different
now it's
different
just like
feeling.
Now I feel like at the beginning it was like, oh, we're dating, we have to have sex X amount of times a week, to be a successful couple. You're always worried about like trying to fit standards and be a successful like couple, and how many times is the right amount, and like we're having all these like worries. But now it's just like, it's just fun. It's just what married people do. You just do it when you want to.
Okay, OnlyFans.
Yes.
In sex life.
Has OnlyFans affected our sex life positively or negatively, or affected our relationship positively or negatively?
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really. Yeah, to be honest, thinking about it.
The only times I can think about how OnlyFans has like affected our relationship is sometimes I'll be in our bedroom trying on outfits and like knit different sexy outfits, and I'll come out and show you, and that can initiate.
Yes, that is exactly what I was gonna say. Is sometimes I'll take some photos of you and seeing you in some of these outfits. Definitely.
You're like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I would say go away. Not kidding. I would say that go down. That would be the biggest yeah. The biggest whatever.
I don't know, effect. Yeah, I'll try on these like sexy outfits. Like, hey, is this cute? Or like have you help me put on some like straps and stuff, and then
so it certainly hasn't affected it in a negative way.
Not at all. No. No, I can't think of anything else other than it's affected you and your card collection positively.
Yes. Yeah.
So all right. I'm so happy with today in our podcast. We got to share a little bit of the fight week chaos with the scale.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
How sex and marriage affects athletic performance. I'm going to have to do more research now. Talk about what'll happen if you ever leave me.
Yeah. Well, I'm hungry. So
I'm so hungry.
Why don't you close this out?
That was A Kickass Love Story. I am your host, Paige Van Zant, my beautiful sex pot of a husband, Austin Vanderford, our baby Dennis, who may not be an only child much longer.
Yes, our only little baby who might. Yes.
Yeah, who's sleeping. Anyways, find us on YouTube, OFTV, Spotify, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. We are live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Huge update. We are going to be back with Kick-Ass Cocktails. Now that I am not in a fight camp, I'm going to be hosting my cocktail hour with me on our YouTube channel, Kick-Ass Cocktails. So come drink with me, have some fun.
Yeah.
We're out.
Yes!